It's the book of Genesis, chapter 47, starting at verse 13. And it reads, And when money failed in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan, all the Egyptians came unto Joseph and said, Give us bread, for why should we die in thy presence? For the money faileth. Salakia, starting up. It's the book of Genesis, chapter 47, verse 13. And there was no bread in all the land, for the famine was very sore. So that the land of Egypt and all the land of Canaan fainted by the reason of the famine. And Joseph gathered up all the money that was found in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan for the corn which they bought. And Joseph brought the money into Pharaoh's house. Verse 15, And when money failed in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan, all the Egyptians came unto Joseph and said, Give us bread, for why should we die in thy presence? For the money faileth. I'm going to start off by getting all praise, all honor, and all glory to God, Yahweh, Yahweh, Hashem, Yahushai, Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch. Double honors to my apostles, the elders of the great millstone, who teach and do rule well. Peace and salutations to the Akim across the four corners of the earth, pushing the truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and their freedom to do so, now more so than ever. Shalom to the Akim and the Akwat out there listening and learning. Lord, willingly this is edified. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad in the land of other nations, appearing like the other nations who whom subscribe to this truth to you. I'll say Shalom. It's your brother Yahweh Sab out of the GMS Cleveland Church, a fellow servant, coming at you with another lesson through the Spirit and through the power of Yahweh Shem Shai. This lesson is in regards to this article I saw on Newsbreak app entitled U.S. banks close 79 branches in just 6 weeks. Is yours affected? And I guess it's a variety of banks closing. And that's why I came out with that Genesis 47, because that's an old account of, Jacob, whose name was turned to Israel. And basically he had 12 sons, and one of his sons named Joseph pretty much was put through a series of unfortunate events, which in actuality was all orchestrated by the Most High, who people ignorantly call God or Jesus Christ, whose true name in the Hebrew is Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai. Yahweh meaning he is or he exists, by Hashem meaning he Salaki by Hashem meaning in the name, Yahushai meaning he saves or he deliverer. And pretty much, where it allowed. Well, I prefer. I would suggest, if you're not familiar with the account, to go read up on it. But if you're in this truth, I'm sure you're quite familiar with the account, showing you how the Most High orchestrates all things. But sometimes when you're going through certain things, that's the spirit. Because I was listening to the brother Itazawam from Wisconsin, and he was talking about pretty much. Going through catching hell, learning to love to suffer in this thing, because we do catch grief and go through different trials and tribulations in this truth. But the difference between us going through our trials and tribulations and the people in the world is we have a better understanding of why. We understand everything is the will of the Lord. And if Joseph was in a woe is me spirit, not understanding that the Lord was working, because by taking Joseph through those different situations, those different events, it put him in a position to be able to pretty much to be a savior to his people, pretty much, which is deep, showing you the power of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. But I've said a lot in a short amount of time, but the point being, at that time, you had a famine in the land, and like they said, it said pretty much the people sold themselves under Joseph, because they said, pretty much, the money failing. And we're watching the money fail right now. Because again, you got to look at it. Once your, financial institutions pretty much can't support themselves, the money's failing. And what is that going to turn to? It's going to be go beyond protest. It's going to go into people going to pretty much take what they need. Crime is going to pretty much exponentially increase. That's why the scriptures talk about in the last days, uh, perilous time shall come. Roughly paraphrase. So I'm gonna just read a little bit of the article. It says J.P. Morgan led the charge, shutting 18 branches under its Chase retail arm. Wells Fargo was next with 17, including 8 in just the past week. Bank of America filed to close 16 locations in states across the country, including California, Florida, and New Jersey. And this is dated one day ago. And I believe they said within the next year or two, they're going to be 500 banks closing. Laura Winley is before then, you know what I mean? Because, again, they can't sustain this, and that's probably pretty much why they're probably trying to push for this war. They say that they're actually at war with Russia, and then they're preparing for war with China. Show you how the Lord really got this man in a trick bag. How do you expect to defeat these two nations at the same time, though? It says Bank United, BMO Bank, Citizens Bank, and Inwood NB were also among those who announced closures. Closures reported to Federal Regulator Office of the Comptroller of the Currency means that customers in the area will need to either drive further to another branch or turn to online banking for the majority of the services. And scriptures say we are not ignorant of Satan's devices. He was talking about in Australia where pretty much you had to drive to another city in order to visit your bank because they're pushing everybody to go online, to go to pretty much a cashless system. So the money is failing because they're trying to bring in a new way of moving currency, which will ultimately end up digitally, which you already kind of do because, people are using more credit card payments than anything. People aren't really dealing with cash. They hit you with, you got to have exact change. Yeah. And I wasn't noticing that, but then when I go to certain stores, like pretty much every store that, you might go to a fast food spot, they you got to have exact change. You might go to Family Dollar, you got to have exact change, So, again, that's another technique that you're using to try to pretty much speed in this cashless society. It says the openings and closures may then happen in coming weeks or months. Banks have announced the closure of more than 400 branches so far in 2024. See, that's deep. See the boxes below for the latest ones and links to all the others this year. The last year in which the number of branches in the U.S. increased was 2011, when there were more than 85,000 throughout the U.S. according to FDIC. Since then, the number has dropped steadily to about 70,000. It says most national banks like U.S. Bank, Bank of America, and Wells Fargo have become increasingly confident that online banking can meet most customers' needs. Closures can lead to significant savings. The average freestanding branch costs $2.6 million a year to run, according to Bankography, an Alabama-based consulting firm and advises banks, which is funny though, because take the time to think about this. You got individuals trying to pretty much get their money or go into their accounts, get cash out of their accounts, and the bank is pretty much either denying them or trying to tell them they got to have a sufficient reason to get their money. And then I forgot what bank it was. Pretty much they had 85,000 accounts on hold because in actuality, the money's failing. They don't have the money. Yeah, remember when you go into the banking system, it's pretty much take your actual, money, and they use your money to loan out money. They don't have to have, they could give a loan for $10 million, but only have $1 million in actually the bank. But then, like I said, they give you this loan and you default on this loan, but you had to use some actual collateral because they didn't really have the full funds. They didn't have the 10 million. Now they took your home and your business and took this and took that. And now with basically numbers on the screen, they were able to pretty much send you or contract a loan with you. And once you defaulted, now they have actual real hard assets because they basically, um, you know, because you defaulted on the loan, now your collateral becomes theirs. It says Bank of America, Steve Ryder, the founder, the president of Bankography, previously told DailyMail.com that banks are willing to close a branch that isn't really overlapping any other branch on the gamble that customers are willing to drive a little bit further. I think Bank of America has learned Slacky lean into that more than the other large banks have, he added. Reader also noted that Bank of America merger history has meant it ended up with branches in rural locations while the industry is undergoing a rural to urban conversion. Every census since 1910 has shown a greater proportion of Americans living in urban areas than the preceding census. So as we become an increasingly urbanized country, the demand in these legacy rural markets just fades away, he said. You know, again, it's funny because, you know, like I was just watching the elder Kazak from Mississippi. He was just doing a video. He was showing how I think it was Walmart or Sam's Club, where pretty much, you know, you don't have to have the checkout person to scan your items. You could just walk through, you know, the doors, and you know they got the technology to scan everything off the camera or whatever. You know, he was like, pretty much we're here, and it's just through the spirit how they closing all these banks and trying to promote online banking, but then they're showcasing this technology too, because again they're trying to make a digital cashless society. You know what I mean? Yeah, and then like I said again, without actually being able to have a physical bank, you know what I mean? You can't go inside and get your money. You know, the shit they talk about Bellins right now. So you know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, Laura willingly, y'all bunch of y'all try to speed this thing up. That's pretty much all I want out of the article. Because just showing you what they say. All right, that's the spirit. It says, what's that? 267 billion bank to abolish cash, warns customers to prepare for massive digital overhaul. Damn. Is now closing accounts and holding money. Bank deposits are now being frozen after unexpected bankruptcy. Bank of America, Wells Fargo, and Chase shut branches at 79 banks and U.S. closed companies gambles. So the point being, you know, it's funny how I read that article and then these different articles came up because ultimately, again, scriptures tell you, least Satan should get advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of devices. Yahweh Shem Shai has given us the eyesight to understand what's, you know, what is set up to take place because it's all scriptural. You know, about the system, this money system being fragile and false. You know, scriptures talk about a false balance is abomination to the Lord. You know, this is the book of Habakkuk chapter 2. And I'm gonna start at verse 1, and it reads, "I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and will watch to see what he will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I am reproved. And the Lord Yahweh shall answer me and say, and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that read of it. For the vision is yet for a appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith." Now the vision is going into the prophecies, and it's a prophecy in regards to, you know, a system being set in place where you know, rich or poor, um, free or bond, without will not be able to buy or sell without receiving this mark. Revelations chapter 13. But at the end it shall speak, it shall it's for the vision is yet for a appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. The appointed time tells you in the book of Isaiah chapter 42, declaring the former things from the beginning. I'm butchering it, but point being, well, 46, Isaiah 46 talk about declaring the end from the beginning. So everything has a appointed time to take place, you know, because the Lord, is the author of these things. It says, but at the end it shall speak and not lie, though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. And that's why the scriptures talk about basically being patient. Scriptures talk about those that wait on the Lord. Verse 4, behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him. And whose soul is that? It's Esau, Edom's. The just shall live by his faith. And who is the just? The righteous, the elect. It says, yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as deaf, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth up to him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. Verse 6, shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his, how long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. And when you go into that word clay, it's basically the word abatya, which means heavy debts, which this U.S., promissory note, this United States dollar is a debt note, which will bring in, Revelation 6 and 6. And it reads, and I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny. When you go into that word penny, it's the Latin word or Greek word denarius. It basically goes into a day's wage for a Roman soldier. So it says a measure of wheat for a penny and 3 measures of barley for a penny. So it's going to be a measure of bread for a day's wage. And see thou not hurt the oil and the wine, which is this truth. you know, you know, at the end of the day, this truth is, is what's being proclaimed right now, because this truth, the scriptures tell you that these things are to come. But a 2/3 or a person that a heathen or someone that's set up to not to get it, they won't understand it because it's not meant for them to understand it. They're gonna get caught up in these things, you know. But that's because again, the money's failing, And when you go into history and you find out what the ancient Romans did, because they diluted the money. Same thing with America. We got inflation. That's why it's costing more money to buy the same items that it did 4 or 5 years ago. But when we get to the state of hyperinflation, you're gonna really see some stuff. Let's just talk about Proverbs chapter 11. Well, no, we'll get this in the book of James. James chapter 5 and verse 1. And it reads, go to now, ye rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Your riches are corrupted, and your garments are moth-eaten. Your gold and silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire. Ye have heaped treasures together for the last days. Because the money's not going to be worth nothing. It tells you in the book of Ezekiel that they shall cast their silver and gold in the streets because it's going to be worthless. And especially in the day of famine, like I say, but in the times of famine, money won't even save you because the person got to be willing to barter or exchange goods for the money. You know what I mean? If you ain't got a system or a real economy, you know what I mean? Like when you watch the book of Eli, they wasn't trading no money; they was trading what people needed. You know what I mean? So it's the book of Proverbs chapter 4. Salaki, Proverbs chapter 11 and verse 4. Riches profit not in the day of wrath, but righteousness deliver from death. And who is the righteous? Scriptures tell you the elect. Uh, the Lord is going to be with his elect throughout this ordeal, Because at the end of the day, the things that humanity's about to go through is about to prove the elect. You're about to see if you are God's chosen. And it's spiritual because brother put something in the group chat today. The brother name is Chosen, but he called himself Chosen One today. He said he's no longer, but he chosen one. I was just like, that's spiritual. Because you're going to see who's truly chosen. You know what I mean? He says many are called, but few are chosen. Yeah. But that's perfect scripture to end on, though. This is the book of Ecclesiasticus. Because that brother very well could be, one of the chosen, Somebody got to be the chosen, just like somebody got to be, the 2/3, and somebody got to be the wicked. This is the book of Ecclesiasticus, or the book of Sirach, chapter 34, and verse 16. For the eyes of the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahshua, are upon them that love him. He is their mighty protection and strong stay, a defense from heat and a cover from the sun at noon, a preservation from stumbling and a help from falling. So, ultimately, the Lord's elect are going to truly love him, There's so many scriptures on the elect, You go into Psalms 91, which was one of my favorite Psalms, said, 1,000 at the left, 10,000 up that right hand, but none shall come nigh thee, because the Most High is going to preserve his elect. So, these things, they're wrapping up, and, these things are truly coming, but, those that are of the Lord's elect, they'll be preserved throughout this destruction. So if you're so-called Black, Hispanic, Native American, Seminole Indian, West Indian, or Haitian, I implore you to come back to the law, statutes, commandments of your power, which true name in Hebrew is Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, or you will be destroyed. With that, I want to give all praise, all honor, and all glory to God, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Rachakadosh B'Katham. I want to say double honors to my apostles, the elders, and the great millstone who teach and do rule well. Peace and salutations to the Akim across the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and their freedom to do so, not more so than ever. Shalom to the Akim and the Aqua. Thank you for listening and learning. Lord willing, this is edifying. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad in the land of other nations, appearing like the other nations, subscribing to this truth. To you, I say shalom. Till next time I'm able to come with another lesson, say shalom, shalom. Kwam Yashrala. Shalom.